My concern here is actually not a concern. This would be fascinating to see. Like, what if they can't get him, but Ayuso can? And then we're with like a Vuelta 2023 situation where the only rider capable of mowing you down is your own teammate. What then happens like that?
Then Ayuso's doing it.
That's not
for
a
sure.
Question.
Ayuso's going for it. Yeah. He's the winner. He's the leader in his mind. He's winning in his mind. He's not gonna. If he has the legs, trust me, he's not gonna be. He's not gonna be told, "Hey, Del Toro has to win because he's in pink." No, Ayuso's going for it.
Everybody, welcome back to the Move Plus. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are breaking down stage 12 of the Giro d'Italia, which was won by Olav Kooij in a sprint over Casper Van Uden and Ben Turner. And then we'll predict tomorrow's stage 13. Before we do that, let's walk through not the most action-packed stage of the race, you'd say. Started off with some climbs, came out of the Po Valley around Modena, and then we raced towards Viadana. The only action really along the route was Isaac del Toro taking third in the Red Bull kilometer sprint right as they caught the breakaway. It was kind of early to catch it, like 30-something kilometers. No one else even really contested it, telling us that Primož Roglič and Juan Ayuso are probably racing against each other while Del Toro picks up these time bonuses. Then they come into the final kilometer. Wout van Aert's on the front. You think, well, he's there a little bit too early, but no. He pulls Kooij all the way to the point where they get jumped by Casper Van Uden. Ends up being the perfect leadout for Kooij, who comes around Van Uden for the win. Kind of pretty straightforward. Probably the most straightforward stage we've had of the Giro so far. Johan, what were your major takeaways from the stage?
Yeah, well, as you said, Spencer, a typical three-man breakaway, very easy for the other teams with sprinters to control. So we saw Alpecin and Visma and Decathlon basically control the three-man breakaway, each with one rider. It doesn't take any more. The next thing is what happened basically is, as you said, Del Toro jumping for the sprint. As I said, I've said it already a few times, but he has unbelievable legs. Everything goes smooth, easy. It doesn't mean a lot, what he did today. But and you could say, wow, why waste that energy? He didn't waste that much energy. I think he came out of a corner and was by himself, and nobody else followed. So it's only 2 seconds. I just think that this guy becomes more and more, is probably not going to win, but man, I don't exclude it anymore. A guy, he's only 21, takes it day by day. Nobody knows how far he can get. He doesn't know, but the fact that he takes it day by day, he grows and grows and grows into that pink jersey, and the easiness with which I see him ride on climbs through the peloton, fighting for position. He's becoming a serious candidate. Egan Bernal said that Del Toro can win this Giro. This guy has already won the Tour and the Giro, right? Of course, I think they have some relationship. They're both Latin American. They obviously hang out in the peloton. Whenever they can. Today, for example, was a great day to hang out in the peloton when there's this three-man breakaway and in the peloton it doesn't go that fast. But I saw the reporter presenting Bernal's statement to Del Toro, and he said, wow, Bernal says that he's my idol. He's when he was like a junior, he looked up to Bernal. He was his idol, probably a guy he had posters in his room. And now this guy
is weird because he's not that old. No, but how is this happening? Yeah.
Well, no, but Spencer, listen, if you're 15, 16, then and Bernal must have been 21.
He's
right.
He's like 8 years older than.
Yeah. Bernal was winning the Tour with 22 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
Man.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, he was surprised and he said, "Oh, wow, that's great." He said, "I don't want to be too ambitious. I'm here, we ride as a team. But man, day by day goes by, and we've seen it in the past. Remember, for example, what's his name again? Damiano Cunego. A long time ago. Similar situation, was also very young, 22, probably 23, maybe. But, he was in the pink and he just kept growing and when it became stronger and became unbeatable actually in the Giro he won, I remember. So we'll see, we'll see. This Giro, of course, there's still a lot of mountains to come. And then, then the sprint, that was the next thing as expected. Great win for Olav Kooij with an unbelievably strong Van Aert and Edoardo Affini. They were both, if you have those two guys, that's basically a whole team as your lead-out train. Affini he lives there in that area. He did a really, really good pull. And then Van Aert, when I saw Van Aert come to the front with 1K to go, I said, wow, that's too early. But man, he went so fast. He went unbelievably fast. He went through that corner with Kooij. There you see how Kooij is a master at positioning himself. Initially, he was not on the wheel of Van Aert. He was there was two riders in between. And just before he went to that wheel, Van Aert accelerated a little bit. He looked back. And it was basically single file from then. And then on the first 10 riders, there was almost no fighting for position in that corner. Coming out of the corner, Van Aert accelerates and takes it very, very far. I have a stat here. We can put up the picture, which was published by Velon. The last 54 seconds of Van Aert were 760 watts average. With a turn,
counting the zeros from the turn.
Yeah, with a turn in there. So the last kilometer was average power 760 watts, maximum power 1320, average speed 57.7 because of the turn, and maximum speed 65. So not one of the fastest sprints. The real fast sprints are 70 and above, 73, 74, if it's really fast, but that's in ideal conditions. This was a pure sprint, and Visma was the only team with a lead out, and they did it perfect. It was lined up. Everybody else was fighting for the wheels. And so, well deserved and great to see Olav Kooij win again. His 40th victory for a 23-year-old guy. 40th win in professionals.
He's leaving, right? He's going somewhere else.
He is leaving, and it's not confirmed, but unofficially it's Decathlon.
Nice pickup. I hesitate to even spend too much time on this because there's almost no lessons to be learned, because what Wout van Aert did, by the way, a horsepower is 740 watts. So Van Aert did more than a horsepower for the final minute. When you're training, it's it's called the Stallion Club if you can do more than a horsepower for a minute. And most people, you build a month around hitting a horsepower for a minute. Van Aert's doing it at the end of a stage in the middle of a Grand Tour, which is super impressive with a turn in there. But he hits the front with the K to go too far, right? I thought the same thing, Johan. You're well, this isn't going to work. But it was smart because he almost used the turn as his end point. I just have to get to the turn. I go faster the turn. They use it to their advantage because him and Kooij created a gap during the hairpin. And then after 2-3 seconds of rest, then Van Aert's okay, I'll give it a little bit more. Casper Van Uden, there's a gap. Ben Turner actually doesn't get gapped from Ineos, which is why he ends up on the podium. Casper Van Uden sprints into the slipstream and then goes around him. I think the right decision, even though it was a little far out, 250 meters out. Yeah. But anytime you have a chance to sprint into a slipstream like that, you probably should go around because you're traveling so much faster than the other people when you get by them. Kooij comes around him, but he holds on for second. It's pretty good. Could have won that stage if Kooij wasn't Kooij, he wins that stage.
And also, Spencer, if Van Uden is not on, because Van Uden was on a gap after the turn.
Yeah.
If he's not on a gap, he could have. I mean, if right. But it's true what you say. He did the right thing because he had to sprint to the wheel, so he came with more speed. And then you get into the slipstream, then you have to go. Listen, this guy, man, it's a name we need to remember because he has a sprint of 300 meters, incredibly steady. Once he goes, he doesn't slow down. He's beaten by Kooij because Kooij was just faster, but to go from this far and still finish second against guys like Pedersen and Groves and Fretin, yeah, that's and it's also still young, Also, he's also 23, I guess.
Yeah, really young.
Casper Van Uden, yeah,
and he gets a second, which is a big deal. I mean, just a big deal in general. I don't think I think that's only his second World Tour podium of his career, but then it's also big for his team because that's a lot of UCI points. So going early, and as we've seen at this Giro, it's usually the rider that goes first that wins. So no shame in doing that. We still have this run of, it's not rocket science. The rider who's positioned in second wheel with a really strong lead out rider in front of them tends to win these sprints because they're not fighting. If you look at the last K, like Pedersen and Caden Groves are just fighting for the wheels. They're in the wind. It's like, that's going to hurt your sprint.
Yeah.
So yeah, get a really strong guy like Mateusz Wojcik or Wout van Aert to lead you out, and you'll win sprints. That's what we have learned so far. Not exactly useful to a lot of teams, but I thought it was, super impressive from Van Aert. Like, he's back. He's over whatever sickness he had. And also, see how happy he was. It was the plan. It's always great if you can execute the plan exactly as it's talked about in the bus in the morning, right? Or in the evening. I don't know when they do their meetings, but normally before the stage, in a Grand Tour, and they executed it perfectly. They had one rider, was it Kruiswijk, who helped these other two teams, and then they had Affini and Van Aert. A little thing, a funny thing. It's actually ridiculous that a rider, in this case, Van Aert had to think about that. So you have the sprint, right? Van Aert was on the right, completely, not minding his own business, didn't bother anybody, and so he was looking. So when Kooij raises his arms, Van Aert wants to raise his arm, and he put it down straight away, thinking about the fine that the UCI gives to teammates who celebrate the victory of a teammate. It's ridiculous. Van Aert was very professional. He was excited, but straight away he said, "Okay, I don't want to pay 500 Swiss francs." Well, it goes out of the pot. They got to build. It's like you see these breakaways like today. You're like, why isn't anyone up there? It's like these guys are making money. You're getting cash every time you go through those checkpoints. You got to get that kitty up by the end of the race. But just my thoughts on the GC. You were talking about that earlier. Clearly 2 seconds is not going to decide the race. So that sprint is kind of insignificant, but we're getting to the point where he's racking up a lot of bonus seconds. He has 30 so far. Primož Roglič has 2. Like, is there a chance he beats Primož Roglič by 28 seconds? There is, for sure. Like, he is racking them up quite substantially. And like, another thing I'm thinking about, he's 33 seconds. So it's like, he's only 33 seconds in the lead. That's not that high, but he's 69 seconds to the next non-UAE rider. Like, that's starting to get significant. 111 to Simon Yates, 126 to Primož. My concern here is actually not a concern. This will be fascinating to see. Like, what if they can't get him, but Ayuso can? And then we're with like a Vuelta 2023 situation where the only rider capable of mowing you down is your own teammate. What then happens like that?
Then Ayuso's doing it.
That's not
for sure.
Question.
Ayuso is going for it. Yeah. He's the winner. He's the leader in his mind. He's winning in his mind. He's not gonna. If he has the legs, trust me, he's not gonna be. He's not gonna be told, "Hey, Del Toro has to win because he's in pink." No, Ayuso's going for it.
I kind of like that. I mean, I like to see the best rider winning, but it's generally not a great look when you're, I mean, you know how that was crazy. Like the fanfare around when Primoz and Jonas were dropping Setkus in the jersey at the Vuelta, like did not go over well. So would be fascinating to see that. And I mean, obviously, if Del Toro gets second at this race, that's a really big deal. If he gets fifth at this race, it's a big deal. The guy's never had a significant GC result in the Grand Tour before. So
it's only his second. It's only his
Come
second.
on, Del Toro. Come on, what's going on? You finished 36th in one Grand Tour at the age of 20. Jeez, falling behind Pogacar already. But any other thoughts on this stage before we move on?
I guess that's it, Spencer. Not much else to say. It's one of those stages we know you kind of know what's going to happen, and it was a great sprint. And I think Kooij is probably one of the three fastest sprinters in this race, maybe one of the two fastest sprinters in this race. And so it's only right that he wins. Not that I think it's going to happen, but he stays in contention for the points jersey. He reduces the difference with Pedersen a bit, so Pedersen cannot slow down. He does have a good cushion, but there are stages where Pedersen is going to score points and Kooij doesn't. But that race is not over.
You know what is really kind of hurt him is the Napoli stage, because there was no points at the finish there. Mm-hmm. So like Pedersen crashed on that stage. Who knows how he would have sprinted? Kooij got a pretty high finish on that day, but he doesn't get any points from that. But yeah, you're right. He does close that gap quite a bit. Another thing to note is Van Aert's max power 1320. So like when you look at these lead out riders, like that's a lot of watts. Like go out tonight and try to do 1300 watts on your little evening ride. It's not easy to do. Like it looks like you're not going that fast, but
never in my life can I get that. What's your maximum power, Spencer?
My right now, or probably at my best, like 1600.
I didn't know how to look for this, but my son showed me. Let me see. Oh man, this is bad. 904.
It's hard to do. Go out and do 900 watts right now. It doesn't.
Hey, listen. I'm almost 61 years old. I think that's good. It's fine. I don't have to. I did more once in my life.
The thing I find that becomes like I could probably get close to 1500 if I really had to right now. But I used to be able to hold like 1300 watts for 15 seconds, but now I could probably do it for like 4 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's unless you really work on that.
Well, let me tell you, when age catches up with you, it's depressing, the numbers. It's better not to look at them.
900 watts. Yeah. In your 60s, that's got to be.
That's not much.
World class.
Yeah.
Well, anything else on this stage where it was an action-packed stage when we're going through our max watts from recent rides.
Yeah, I need to check your stats on Strava, Spencer. I think I'm catching up with you a bit.
This has been I've not been riding much this week.
But you're going to ride a lot in the summer, I suspect. So, but we're there. I'm not too far off. We'll keep it close until December.
I have to hope that Zwift bike is in the studio. I'm going to get on there, rack up those miles in Watopia. Anything else on stage 12, Johan, before we move on?
No.
All right, so let's take a quick ad break, and then we will predict. Super hard to predict stage 13. Kind of an interesting stage that I hadn't quite noticed until recently. Hey, everybody, this episode is brought to you by NordVPN. No doubt you've heard of VPNs, but what the heck are they? Well, a VPN is a service that helps you protect your internet connection and privacy online. VPNs create an encrypted tunnel for your data, and they protect your online identity by hiding or masking the location of your IP address. This allows you to use publicly available Wi-Fi hotspots safely, as well as browse content that might be geo-blocked in your area. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I use NordVPN. I'm a big user of this product, and it helps me. Let's say I'm in the US, and let's say I miss Robbie McEwen. I miss Orla. I want them on my television during the Tour de France. Well, unfortunately, Max does not have the tour in the US. But what if there was a way for me to say, I'm coming from the United Kingdom virtually, and then I can watch whatever I want to watch? Well, NordVPN lets me do that. You might be saying, but this must be really difficult to do, right? No, it's super easy to use. You can connect, you just download it right on your computer, right on your phone. You connect in one click, and it has amazing speed, and you can use it on 10 different devices. So you get one NordVPN account. Use that on every computer you have. Use it on every phone. I have so many computers, so many phones. I'm watching 15 cycling races a day, and I'm using NordVPN for all of them. And I cannot stress how easy this is to use. Do not be intimidated by the idea of getting NordVPN. And you can get an exclusive NordVPN deal here. Go to nordvpn.com/themove. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. A link is in the show notes. Again, nordvpn.com/themove. It's the perfect time to try it out if you're going to dip your toes in the VPN water for the summer cycling season. nordvpn.com/themove. Hey everybody, today's episode is brought to you by Maui Nui, the only source for Maui's exceptionally healthy wild harvested access deer meat. Maui Nui's line of 100% wild harvested red meat is an extremely healthy option that delivers the highest protein to calorie ratio available, 53% more than grass-fed beef. Just in their sugar-free peppered sticks alone, there's 10 grams of protein at just 55 calories a pop. I had a couple of these just before recording this. That's why I'm so amped up. And you might be worried, how am I going to get all this protein in my diet that everyone's telling me I need? Peter Attia is saying, you got to have all this protein, but I don't want high cholesterol. I don't want to be unhealthy. Well, Maui Nui's peppered sticks help you do that without being extremely unhealthy. And it's perfect for pre or post workout, traveling, or before you record a podcast. And one of the best parts of ordering from Maui Nui Venison is that not only are you getting healthy, delicious, ethical meat delivered directly to your door, you're playing a key role in their mission to reclaim the abundant native ecosystems on Maui. As a former resident of the island, I know firsthand, how much damage the axis deer are doing. This invasive species is taking over the island, to put it mildly, and it's just hard to get food there. You can't really get local food. A lot of the food is imported, which means it's expensive and bad because it's been sitting on a boat for a long time. So with Maui Nui, you are taking care of two problems. You're helping Maui Nui do an ethical cull of an invasive species, as well as supporting a business that is providing local food to people on Maui. It's perfect for anyone looking to elevate their meals with delicious, high-quality protein, and Maui Nui Venison is offering the Move listeners a limited collection of their favorite cuts and products, but supply is limited by the nature of their work, so don't wait. Head to MauiNuiVenison.com/themove to secure your access now. Again, that's Maui Nui Venison, MAUINUI Venison.com/themove, or there's a link in the show notes. All right, back to the show. Okay, Johan, stage 13 tomorrow is 180 kilometers. It's through the Po Valley from Rovigo to Vicenza. And it's like really flat area, but they find seemingly every climb they can along the way. So there's a few categorized climbs, but the highlights are this final circuit at the end where they have 1, 2, 3 categorized climbs, with one that seems to be uncategorized, but is 2K long at 6.6% average and has bonus seconds at the top. They do the final climb twice. They go up and over the first time, then they finish at the top on the second time. It doesn't look that hard when you just glance at it. You're like, okay, a kilometer at 7.6%. But when you zoom in on it, the last 700 meters averages 10% with a 12% max. So what went from what I thought would be an uphill sprint stage starts to get a little bit more interesting in GC terms the closer you look. The odds have been changing as we've been doing the show. I'll read, this is from Unibet in Europe, and there is some slightly different prices on US books I'll call out when I need to, but Isaac del Toro is the favorite at plus 400. Mads Pedersen plus 400 as well. Wout van Aert plus 500. Tom Pidcock plus 1200. Primoz Roglic plus 1400. Juan Ayuso plus 1800. Mateusz Wadzek plus 1800. Giulio Ciccone plus 2200. Eduardo Zambanini plus 2500. Andrea Vendrame plus 3300. Corbin Strong plus 3300. It goes on and on. We'll call them out when we need to. But Johan, how do you think this is going to play out, and who's going to win this thing?
Also, Spencer, worth noting, it's there's a 20-kilometer circuit at the end, and I just looked at the map. It looks kind of twisty, so it's going to be fast. You know, if they first of all they're going to come up the finishing climb, and then they do a 20-kilometer circuit. I think it's 20 kilometers. So it's going to be stretched out. I mean, first of all, the first time of the climb, it's 10%. It's the sprinters are not going to be there anymore, and UAE has such a strong team that, in my opinion, they will set a fast pace. So I don't think anybody has a chance to really get away. I mean, maybe an attack a la Richard Carapaz or something could be an option, but I don't think so. This is going to be UAE drilling it with the strength they have. And I think, on the last climb, it's going to be amongst the GC guys and some punchers. Personally, I think it's maybe a risk, but I think a guy like Pedersen has a chance tomorrow. 1 kilometer, 10%, he can do that. I mean, he's the second favorite on the books. It's for a reason. So I'm gonna go for Mats Pedersen tomorrow to win the stage.
Yeah, it's in true Giro fashion. It kind of the gradients appear to change depending on what book you're looking at. So one of them has it at 8.9 with a 4.6% grade before the finish. So it starts to seem like that could suit Mads Pedersen a little bit better, which is probably why the odds are changing so fast. I don't disagree. I think he could win the stage. The only thing is the multiple climbs, the twisty running, as you say. I'm looking at it right now. Just with that, I mean, it's tough. This is a really tough one to predict. I think I would probably go Isaac del Toro, the co-favorite at plus 400, just because, I mean, man, the uphill finish, he didn't win it, but the one where he got second on stage 11 looked so easy to him. Like that was wild. That was a harder stage than tomorrow is going to be, but just being with his team probably at the front, and then it's going to be a lot easier for him to be where he needs to be than Pedersen, who's going to have to give everything just to even get to the final few hundred meters. But I'm not saying Mads Pedersen can't win, but I would just give the edge to Del Toro because I think it is going to be a hard run-in. It
is, if you look at, I mean, I look here at the, I don't know if it's the official road book, the Giro road book profile, but it's like a 2% when you get into the last kilometer, and then it's 10%. There's a maximum of 12% at some point with about 500 meters to go. Listen, if there's one guy who beats Pedersen, it's Del Toro.
Because even if you start thinking on the math on this, so 700 meters at 10%. I mean, what do we think that is time-wise? That's like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, right?
What do you mean?
Like, how long is that going to take them? Or 40 seconds to complete?
Oh, no. It's going to take them a lot more, Spencer.
Like
700 meters at 10%, that's 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, even at 2 minutes. So, yeah, like what's the 2 minute power differential between Pedersen and Del Toro? Pedersen can probably put out a lot of power for 2 minutes. Yeah. Probably enough to overcome the watt per kilo disadvantage.
Yeah, but still, it's they do it twice, and then this climb before in the middle there, that's not easy. I think that's going to be Mats Pedersen's problem. The Red Bull climb. There's and plus especially because there's a sprint there. It's this what's it called? Arcugnano climb. So that's 2.5 kilometers, average 5%, but there's 1 kilometer in the middle, which is 9%. And there's bonus seconds on top. So I think that's the difficult part for Mats Pedersen.
Where it's also difficult for Del Toro is if he sprints for those seconds, then he's sprinting twice. He's so strong right now.
It doesn't matter for Del Toro. Del Toro can do this.
That is crazy. He's very good. I do think Mads Pedersen is probably one of the only riders that can challenge him. I know we just talked about Wout van Aert. I don't know about Wout van Aert on this. This would be ridiculous if you this is so hard. And against a rider like Del Toro, I guess he technically beat him, but that was a much easier final pitch than they're going to have tomorrow.
Yeah, if you think about the Wout van Aert we have seen, like the prime Wout van Aert of the Tour de France, I'd say absolutely no doubt he can win this. But this is not the same yet. He's still improving. On a climb like this, I think it's going to be very difficult for Wout van Aert. My second choice, it's also a risky pick, but especially because he's shown already some unbelievable form, is Matthias Vacek. Especially because he's plus 1,800. And he can do this. He has the power to do these 1 kilometer climbs at 10%.
Yeah, I think at plus 1,800, that's kind of wild. He's down there. I do think he could win. I do kind of worry. We don't really know like where he is right now. I do. Like, at some point, does he have to pay the toll? Like,
exactly. You're right. Yeah. Yes, you're right. These guys are going to fade. They came into the first week like all guns blazing. It's gonna fade away at some point. Their power and their punch. But man, that stage where he bridged up to those riders, to those 3 riders. It was the gravel stage, no?
Stage 9. That was impressive.
He was strong there, man. He was so strong, and uphill he was strong. He paid for his big effort, because he had to chase really hard. But if he still has a little bit of that left, he could. That's a guy who really would deserve to win a stage, man.
Well, you almost could see Pedersen leading him out if he feels good. Because it would be stage win number 5, whether Pedersen or Vacek wins for Little Track is maybe a bit too much. Come on, guys, settle down. It's too much. I think I'm hesitant to even pick him, but Tom Pidcock, just because he's plus 1,200, he's plus 1,000 on Bet365, 1,200 on Unibet. That's a pretty good price for someone. He's not like, the thing I worry about Tom Pidcock is he just going to always get to these finales where someone else is faster, like Del Toro or Pedersen, and then he can't get in solo breakaways because he's still up in the GC technically. So, but the thing on Pidcock is, I just feel like eventually he will win a stage, and this would be the perfect stage for him, because if you're Mads Pedersen, maybe it's a little too hard. If you're Del Toro, you're focused on other things like the bonus sprint, and that might leave enough room for Tom Pidcock to come through. He's an extremely talented rider, and it's not like he's not in terrible shape if he's still high up in the GC here. So yeah, I'm going to go Pidcock as my wild card.
Okay. All right. And nobody, funny, nobody picks Primoz?
I think there's like an Andreas Clear quote. He's like, it's just been stuck in my head for 20 years where he's like, we do our race not riding now. It's like, I think Primoz wins the race not riding now. Like, I don't think the uphill finish on stage 13, it's a little explosive, even for prime Primoz. It's a little like sprinty against some really fast guys. I don't think he wins this.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. I
mean, maybe, I don't know that you say it, like maybe prime Vuelta, like think of 2021 Vuelta Primoz. Does he win this? Maybe, but some of these guys are so fast.
Yeah. And also, it's a hard finale, but the rest of the stage is not hard. So, it's not going to be like everybody gets to the final worn out, which is in the favor of a guy like Pedersen and Vacek, actually, because the rest of the stage is not super hard.
Yeah. And you remember this I was just going through it last night. I'd kind of forgotten some of it. The last Giro he won, he was so subdued through a lot of that race, and, just kind of trusted that the time would come. And it seemed like he understood how hard the race was going to be at the end. And maybe other people didn't fully understand that assignment. And I think Primoz thinks the same. I'm just looking at this third week right now. This thing is brutal. Like, I think Primoz is in a little bit of hibernation mode.
Yeah, I agree. He's banking everything on the last week, and he knows what he's doing.
All right, Johan, anything else before we take off?
That's it for me, Spencer.
All right, thanks. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about how the stage plays out.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, see ya.